Mi gente, hello and welcome to Kica's Corner. My name is... Mi gente, hello and welcome to Kica's Corner. My name is Kica Matos and I am your host. The goal for this show is to focus on interesting topics and people, social justice issues, and maybe a scandal or two, but always, 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 whatever we talk about will always have a social justice edge. Today we're going to talk about an incredible arts exhibition that opens tomorrow in New Haven on the Green at 6 p.m. It is free and it's open to the public. Titled We Are a Nation of Immigrants, it's an exhibit that links art and social justice and focuses on two of our nation's most vulnerable populations right now, immigrants and refugees. I have three amazing people in the studio with me today. Joe Standard, he is an award-winning photographer, director, an internationally known artist, and the mastermind behind this exhibit. Jerry Thande is also here. Jerry is a longtime friend, and she's one of the people featured on the exhibit. Jerry is an immigrant who was born in Kenya and moved to the United States with her family. Today, she's a medical doctor at Yale specializing in cardiovascular disease. She lives in New Haven. And last but not least is Gladys Muilelo, who is a refugee originally from the Republic of Congo. She was forced to flee the Republic with her family and went to Burundi before she came to the United States. Today, Gladys is a student majoring in strategic communication, and she too also lives in New Haven. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
And Joe, given that you are in a room full of badass women, I hereby bestow upon you the status of honorary woman for the duration of the show.
I'm privileged. Thank you.
So let's start off talking about the exhibit. And Joe, I'm going to start with you. What exactly is it? Why did you decide to do this? And why New Haven?
Well, thanks for asking. It is a real pleasure to be here with you again. I'm thrilled to be to have worked on this exhibition with immigrants and about immigrants and refugees. The issue came to my awareness probably 4 or 5 years ago and has only intensified. And I've found over the years of doing public artwork that it is an incredible platform to bring people together, to build community around an issue and in support of each other. So the public artwork is not so much about the art, it's about the public. It's about helping people get out of the shadows, to come together in a public forum, to share ideas, and to feel part of a community as opposed to working out there solo. So in coming to New Haven, it is such a great center for the arts, an intellectual center, and as a sanctuary city, it is sensitive to the issues at play with immigrants and refugees. So it was a tremendous platform for me to work in.
So describe to me the concept. You came to New Haven, and what is it that you decided to do?
I came to New Haven wanting to do a public outside exhibition featuring the kinds of things that I do, which are very large banners, sometimes 70 feet tall in this case, and many, many just wonderful portraits emphasizing the dignity of each individual. In this case, each individual is an immigrant or a refugee, so we're really talking about the heritage of all of these people, where they came from, why they ended up in New Haven, what their journey was, with the focus on emphasizing the common humanity, the common dignity that we all share if we can just be open to it.
So what we will see tomorrow at the opening is all of those photos displayed both on the green and large, massive photographs, as well as on the walls of the churches on the green. Is that right?
That's correct. So there are other images around the city, on the Pirelli building, on the Orange Street, 200 Orange Street near City Hall, and the library. But the whole focus of the exhibit is on the green and on the churches. It's important to me that we be on the green because that is historic. It dates back to the founding moments of our country. Many of the founding fathers wandered through the green, and it's my effort to link our history as a nation, born of immigrants and fostered and developed by immigrants and still championed by immigrants, and link that with today's new arrivals. And in this politicized world where immigrant has taken on a bad connotation, I'm determined and I feel confident that people will see through that and see the wonderful talent, generosity, spirit, cultural blessings that all of these folks are bringing to our country.
So let me contextualize a little bit of what's been happening under the Trump administration for the last year and a half, although it feels like it's been decades now because it's been so brutal. The Trump administration is really focused on demonizing and criminalizing both immigrants and refugees. He's called immigrants criminals, rapists, and snakes. He sent thousands of troops to National Guard to the border. And now the administration, as of about a month ago, has enacted a policy that separates parents from children at the border and sends parents to jail. Deportations are at an all-time high, and this enforcement machinery has in essence been told to do what they want, when they want, with immigrants who they detain. When it comes to refugees, things haven't really been much better. One of Trump's first acts in office was to issue an executive order to essentially ban Muslim refugees from entering the United States. He has really shrank the number of refugees that are now allowed into the U.S., and he told the Australian Prime Minister this about refugees. He said that refugees are, quote unquote, bad. They're not going to be wonderful people who go on to work for the local milk people. So this exhibit in many ways really flies in the face of what this administration has been saying about immigrants and refugees. And it makes no sense to many of us that they would be trying to demonize and criminalize immigrants who have historically done so much for this country. And today we really want to hear some of those stories. And so what I want to do first is the two women, well, plus the honorary woman, Jo, Gladys and Jerry are going to share their stories with us. And I want to start with Jerry. Where are you from, and how old were you when you came to the United States?
I'm from Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya. I came to the U.S. in 1989. I was 13 years old at the time. And the circumstances surrounding the move were difficult. My mother met my father in the early 1970s. My mother is actually an American citizen and moved to Kenya to raise a family. she gave up a lot of her career ambitions. And so in 1989, when my parents' marriage dissolved, she was faced with coming to the United States and raising 3 children on her own with few resources and few skills. We went from living in a comfortable 3-bedroom middle-class home. At least there was the facade of stability. I think in reality, the financial and emotional situation was more complicated. But we moved to the Boston area, and we were lucky enough to have a relative, my mother's sister, take us in. And so we lived in a tiny 2-bedroom apartment. And my mother, I remember for those first few years, she sold African crafts and outdoor fairs, and not a great source of income. So we counted pennies for many years, and we didn't have health care. I remember going to the free trainee health and dental clinics at the Brigham's Hospital in Boston. But the one thing my mother had always valued was education, and she managed to get us into good private schools on scholarship. I think the rigid British elementary education system I went through had its benefits, so I was superb at math, and I read well and I wrote well, and so I got into Milton Academy, which is a private school in a suburb of Boston. When I was at Milton, I worked in the cafeteria to make ends meet. I served in my classmates. And maybe a few years into my high school, I think it was the beginning of my last year in high school, we were evicted from our home. And so we moved in with another aunt about an hour, 45 minutes away from school on public transportation. And so for that year, I took 2 trains and a shuttle bus and walked half a mile to school. Wow. But, after that, I applied to and got into I think I got into every college I applied to. Yale, early admission, but ended up going to Columbia because they had a more generous financial package. And then from Columbia, I chose to I was a neuroscience major, and I chose to do pre-med, and I got into University of Michigan Medical School. And from there, many years of training has landed me here in New Haven as an assistant professor at Yale Medical.
You do not sound like a rapist, a criminal, a bum, or a snake.
Not at all. And part of the reason I participated in this exhibit was because of the rhetoric coming from the Trump administration about immigrants.
How does it make you feel? I mean, you've just told us this incredible story of hardship and perseverance. And throughout your narrative, it's clear that you've also been making significant contributions to your community and to this society. So when I hear your story and I contrast it to the efforts to demonize and criminalize immigrants, I find it really startling. But I'm curious to know, as an immigrant, how does it make you feel?
It makes me feel angry because I know what the reality is. And I know I was lucky enough to have to have U.S. citizenship. But in many ways, my journey is very similar to the journey of many immigrants. It's very difficult to have to start a new life with nothing. Mm-hmm. And many immigrants have to do that and work very hard and are law-abiding, and they try very hard to provide for their families and contribute to this society. And so it's enraging to hear what Trump has to say. They're false, they're lies. it's also scary because I know where those lies can lead. And so it's really important to counter that narrative. And I hope this exhibit does that.
Do you think it matters that New Haven is an immigrant-friendly city?
I think it matters immensely. I like the fact that some of the photos are on the churches, because the churches have played a big role in protecting undocumented immigrants. Federal immigration officials can't legally detain immigrants if they're in the churches, and so the churches have really played a big role in trying to protect the undocumented immigrants that we have here in New Haven. The Trump says that sanctuary counties or cities promote crime, and the truth is, when you compare sanctuary counties to non-sanctuary counties, comparable non-sanctuary counties, there's actually less crime and less poverty in sanctuary counties. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that local police, if they're focused on keeping people safe and they're not entangled with immigration efforts, then people feel more comfortable collaborating with the police. And they feel more comfortable being in public spaces, and they can contribute to the economy. And so I think overall, it has a very positive effect.
You're listening to Kica's Corner on WNHH, New Haven's home for community radio, broadcast at 103.5 FM and live streamed at newhavenindependent.org. Gladys.
Hello.
It's your turn now. Share your story with us. Why did you leave the Congo? How long were you in Burundi for? And how is it that you ended up in New Haven?
Okay, so I'm originally from the Democratic, which is the Congo. My family and I had to leave there because there was a war taking place in 1998. Or less than that. I'm not really closely to the story of what the war was taking place there, but what I know is I had to leave my country when I was 2 years old. And me and my family had to move to Burundi, and me and my family also lived in Burundi for almost 13 years. And living in Burundi for 13 years, for me, it felt like being an individual who doesn't know what home is, and the whole 13 years of living there was more of like surviving, because you're moving to a country where you are unwanted. It's not every individuals who are like feeling comfortable being around you because you are someone who come from another country. Yeah, so we lived in there for 13 years, and as a refugee, because as we left the country, my parents had to seek an asylum in Burundi. And that way, so the United Nations can be able to support us, since we've lost everything. We've lost a house, a home, a couple of family members. And then we were given asylum, and yeah, we lived there. So I was sometimes being banned to go to school.
Why?
Just because I wasn't Burundian, and also lack of finance. Like majority of countries in Africa, schools are like they cost a lot of money and very expensive. In order for you to afford it, your parents need to work really hard. Like the whole packets need to be just gone there. And I come from a family where I have like more than 9 siblings, and imagine one parent being able to provide for each of those kids. So some will go to school and some won't. And yeah, and my dad has always, since he knew, we all know that the history of United States is of welcoming refugees and immigrants has always a tradition. It's not something that has become a tradition abruptly or recently. It's an old history. It's something that existed there. I mean, people who came to this country long years and years. There were refugees and immigrants, you know. So my dad knew about all those history, and in order for us to be safe, he tried to apply to come to this country, and the whole process took the same thing, 13 years, in order for us to be approved by the United Nations or the United States to approve us in order for us to come to this country.
That's a long time.
Yep, my dad kept trying, and most of the time when he go to apply for those paper, they'll bribe him. The people who works at the United Nations, it's people who come from Burundi. They are Burundians, and I don't know what they're thinking about. Maybe they thought refugees in that country maybe had a lot of money. I don't know. So every time my dad would try to apply, he would fail. Try to apply, he would fail. And he kept trying. He didn't give up because he knew that living in that country as a refugee, like for his kids, his children will be losing a lot, especially the time of us not being able to go to school. So if he realized if we keep living in that country, we'll grow up illiterate, you know. We won't be able to gain knowledge of education like other kids in the world, you know. So he kept trying, and finally in 2013, we were approved. That was kind of miracle, and still today, me and my family always brag about it. We sit together and talk about it like coming to this country really did happen, you know. Now we're in the United States, you know. It took us really long year in order for us to get here.
And what's life been like for you here in the United States?
Oh my God. I always use the word paradise, even though it is not. Why do I use that word? It's just, for me, I was banned from going to school for 5 years. So imagine as a child like myself, seeing other kids, you know, going to school, and me just sitting on the streets, you know, and seeing other kids being like dressing up in uniforms, you know, having their book bags on and going to school. But for me, it's just look at them and saying bye to them. So coming to this country, I say to paradise because I was given this opportunity to go back to school that I lost for a very long time. And I also say I had opportunity to be able to have access in so many things that the country that I come from didn't give it to me, or the country that I was a refugee in didn't had time to give it to me, such as working summer job. You know how, as a student, I would try to find the summer jobs. I worked my first summer job in this country, and I asked my mom, did this really happen? I'm working at age of 16 in this country. And what I come from in Burundi, I used to do my best at least to find someone who can let me wash their dishes so they can be able to at least pay me at least a cent for a day for me to be able to go back at home and buy some meal for my family for the day. So I'm here. It's like I have all opportunities there are a lot of opportunities. It's just about me taking a time and go look for them and try to cooperate with people who has those opportunities in order for me to be able to gain access to those opportunities. So it's a paradise because I have opportunities that my own country has never had a time to provide to me.
Has New Haven been welcoming to you and your family?
I would say 85%.
Okay.
Why 85%? Because when I first came here 5 years ago, majority of people didn't even know what the word refugee is. And that really shocked me because this is a country that welcomes people. So I was shocked, like, how come you people don't know who refugees are and what really displaced them from their homelands, or what displaced them from one country to another. So when I go to school, people used to ask me, you know, like, where are you from? You know, oh, tell us what it is exactly to be a refugee. That didn't matter to me. I didn't take it serious. But I just took it as maybe they were a little bit ignorant on it and try to find out about people they live with, you know. Because I'm here, I'm living with them, and I'm going maybe to spend many and many years with them together, and I'm going to be their neighbors, their friends, their colleagues, you know. Being able to see them not knowing who refugees are, that really didn't matter, but it did a little. But one thing that I learned is, as days and days goes on, and people are really interested, you know, in knowing about who I am or where I come from, and what really caused me from fleeing from one country to another and ended up in New Haven. Yeah, so now that I'm on campus, people really love me. They really welcomes me, and especially in 2017 when the new president came in, I got to have a lot of connections with people. People really interested on, because maybe they didn't think how serious it was, but when they learned about the new president trying to separate them from their friends, like their new friends, like refugees like myself. So it was some kind of shocking news, and that's how I gained the welcoming communities of New Haven.
And why did you choose to be a part of this exhibition that opens tomorrow?
So, at first when I received the messages of being told, okay, there's somebody who's looking for people to take a photo, just like I was a little bit ignorant. I was like, why do they want to take photos? But as Joe posted the pictures, and it's just the theme itself, we are a nation of immigrants, really reminded me so much, and it came up with this huge image in my face, and it also gave me a hope that these images will have the opportunity to explain to individuals who never know who refugees are. And if they look at the images, it's not just an image. The image of an individual who's standing there is that individual who's called a refugee like myself. So the purpose of me participating in it, because I knew these images will explain and will also give an opportunity to people to be able to recognize us as refugees. And I also wrote something a little to myself that these images will have an open eyes to the ordinary Americans and allow them to see refugees with knowledge, empathy, and respect. It's not just us refugees coming to this country. We're also here to cooperate and to live with people who are becoming our neighbors, friends, colleagues, living together in peace and try to make this country the old unity country that it used to be. So it's just like having the image and eyes of explaining to people to understand who we are exactly.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Thank you so much, Gladys. Joe, so the opening's tomorrow. Tell us what time, where, who you've got as a lineup, and then we're going to move to the final questions that I'm going to have of these powerful women.
Okay. Well, first, thank you, Jerry and Gladys, for sharing all those amazing stories. And there are lots more of stories to be found at the exhibit. We will have little QR codes next to every photograph that will lead you to our website, where background information, stories, in some cases videos, will be there. The exhibit features 55 images that are at least 8 feet tall, and in some cases 25 or 70 feet tall. The entire idea is to just break down barriers, let you become familiar with people from all over the world, and they really are from all over the world. It starts, the images are there now, but we start off with a wonderful round of speakers celebrating the occasion at 6 p.m. On the green right behind Center Church, or between Center Church and Trinity Church. There's a bandstand there, and we'll have Senator Blumenthal and Rosa DeLauro and Kica Matos, your honorary woman, me, and a few other people will have some things to say. And we really would love you to come down and join us. We'd like it to be lots and lots of people just making a statement of being together, working together as a community, and saying as a community we are a nation of immigrants.
There you have it, folks. The place to be tomorrow at 6 p.m. is at the Center Church, 270 Temple Street on the New Haven Green. Come and meet these powerful women. Come and meet others, immigrants and refugees, who are your friends and your neighbors and people that you worship with. I'm going to close the show with questions for Gladys and Jerry. I asked these of Joe the last time he was here. So, Joe, I'm going to spare you these questions since you answered them already. And Jerry, we'll start with you, and then we'll move to Gladys. Who are your New Haven heroes or sheroes, if you have any?
You are. you're my heroine. Because, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but because you are so committed to New Haven, you're committed to making this a just space, and I think it's really important that, you know, we all have our different strengths and our different ways of contributing, but I really think, especially now, this is an important time to be active locally, and I am so in admiration of your work that you've done.
Thank you. Gladys?
I would say the same thing. I recently heard about you, and one thing I would say, I didn't have no hero or heroine in this city, but when I first heard about you and look around and do a little bit of research about you, I learned that you are a woman, like she said, committed to especially social injustices. And I've learned that you've been working hard to make sure not only the city of New Haven, just the country itself, you know, for individuals who come to this country, feel like they belong here and feel like they are not alone. You are there, anyone else is there, and this country is a country of everyone coming together, working together, support one another, and share a meal, you know, share celebrations. Like tomorrow we are going to We Are a Nation of Immigrants exhibit. We like need to be there together and be there for one another, for each other, you know. So I've learned recently about you, and I was like, this woman is just, oh my God, I don't know. It's just amazing, you know. She is a person that we need around, you know, because we as the refugees ourselves have been trying hard to work hard and explain our stories in order for people stopping the stereotyping of what they're talking about us. But you are the person who's been trying to clear all that barriers, all that misunderstanding about who refugees and immigrants are. So thank you very much for all you've been doing by clearing the borders of social injustice in this country.
Thank you very much. What is your favorite New Haven neighborhood? Jerry? If you have one.
If I have one, I love so many neighborhoods in New Haven. I live in the East Rock neighborhood, and I see I'm blanking on the names of the different neighborhoods right now. I do love the downtown area. I don't know if it's a neighborhood.
It's a neighborhood.
It's a neighborhood. Okay. I do love the downtown area, especially the green. And yeah.
Gladys?
I would say the East Rock Park because it's near two important places of my life. My high school in Iris. So if I say East Rock Park, because those are areas that I spend most of the time on, and if I go that side, that means I'm going to my school Iris or go to the East Rock Park, to the mountain for a little bit run, and we usually do Iris run there, so that's always my favorite place.
Jerry, if you could pick a superhero power, what would it be? I mean, you're already a superhero.
Yeah, I need more energy to deal with my 2 young children. More energy.
Okay. What about you, Gladys?
I have no idea. I don't know.
All right. I'll have you back on the show later and you can tell me. And the final question. What is your favorite New Haven pizza? Sally's, Pepe's, or Modern?
Those are the only options?
You can pick others. But I know there's a lot of rivalry between those 3. But if you have another one, put it out there.
I like Pepe's.
Okay. What about you, Gladys?
I am not a fan of pizza. I recently started eating them, but I learned about eating them at my campus. So I don't know which place I will name, but I have no idea. It's just I'm not a lover of pizza.
All right. What's your favorite restaurant in New Haven? Do you have one?
Not really. I love home food, so I don't usually go to the restaurants. If I go, if someone takes me out, it's one of my favorite is Thank God It's Friday. I don't know, they changed the name. Yeah, that one.
Cool. Thank you for joining us today on Kica's Corner. Big appreciation to my guest today, Gladys Muilelo, Jerry Thande, and Joe Standard. For those of you who are listening, make sure that you come to the Green tomorrow at 6 for the launch of the We Are a Nation of Immigrants project. Again, it's on the Green at 270 Temple Street, which is the Center Church on the New Haven Green. Until the next time, here is wishing you justice, solidarity, and many, many days of sunshine.